Why, hello. Thank you
Hello there.
guys so much for all of your patience. Now, just to keep everyone updated on what is happening, the match is taking place in Xi'an. We are, of course, in our lovely Shanghai base arena, so we're giving you information as it's being fed across China to us, and unfortunately, there are still audio issues. We're waiting for them to be resolved, for the players to return to the stage, and then to start the next match. But until then, you've got Raz and I.
Hey,
How you going?
doing well.
Yeah, I'm Indiana Frosker in Black. This is Brento Raz Muhammad. And I feel like we should name our show because this keeps happening.
Yes,
frankly.
definitely.
That was
Call it the Raz Show.
okay.
Featuring Frostgurin.
Welcome to Burrito Box episode 1. Burrito, is there anything that you'd like to unpack in the LPL while we may or may not have time or no time at all? For all we know, we could just get the call and be like, the players are ready, ship it.
Let me look at one of these flags and immediately pick something that's of interest to me.
I like this game. Can I just point at a team and you have to tell me everything about them?
Go for
it. So what you cannot see is that on the sides of us we have the banners hanging for both our Eastern and Western conferences. East over here, West over here. And I'm going to go ahead and pick...
You're going straight into the East. Wait a second.
Because we're in the Eastern...
Oh, that's true. That's fair. That's fair.
Technically we're in cross-conference.
Yeah.
Let's grab Vici, because Vici actually had some very interesting news today. So for those of you who don't know, Vici Gaming is one of our bottom-tier teams. They were relegated from the LPL, got their way back into the LPL, have now been franchised into it, and this was formerly known as EasyHoon's team. But as of late, EasyHoon has not appeared on the roster. It's been Fire Rain instead.
Yeah, because the team has just not been performing. So they had high expectations coming in from the LSPL. I mean, yeah, I guess at the time that was the last split of the LSPL.
It was high expectations.
Yeah, there we go. Just because they were performing very well in terms of team fighting, and then that just didn't work out. So you got to move and shift down players because what their first expectation was that Crash was going to be an aggressive jungler. Didn't happen. So he's no longer on the team. They brought in
1907 Fenerbahce.
Boom. So now they bring in Swift, a major upgrade in the jungle position.
Yep.
They have direction, but now they need to find talent. So EasyHoon, of course, is a talented player, but there's no direction in that sense because he's a passive player. You would expect something, of course. The major champion you'd recognize from is Azir. He has a championship Azir skin. Makes sense because he's actually one of the 40-minute players. He looks towards the mage player. He doesn't go into his assassins. His early game is non-existent, essentially. So now they've been pushing in Fire Rain, who has been playing around in the LDL with game talent at the time. He's an early game player. Problem is still an issue of talent. It's a very competitive mid lane in the LPL, and he's not cutting it. One of the worst in the league. That's just the facts. So, this comes to the news. Coming in from the TCL from Turkey. Now they're sub-mid laner.
All the way from Turkey.
Boom. Coco.
Boom.
So we know that Coco has been with with Swift once before when they were in newbie.
Here, Raz is going to say this in the most PC way possible, and I'm just going to break the news to
Give
you
it
guys.
to me.
Swift, whatever team that Swift goes to, it becomes his team. This was one of the big falling out between Doinby and Swift when they were over on the QG Reapers. It was like, who was the largest voice of that team? You know, who was the most important player?
Yes.
And frankly, it looked like it was going to be Swift because the organization threw their backing behind him. Swift took control of the QG Reapers. Doinby was kicked off into the LSPL and then had to grab the QG Reapers because QG then became newbie. Yep. And Swift picked up Coco, long-term mid laner from all the way back to Xenix Storm. So we've constantly seen this Coco-Swift bromance over the course of several different iterations of teams. Swift disappears, he comes back to Vici Gaming. We're like, finally,
there we go.
Star jungler. This is exactly what EasyHoon needs. Suddenly, EasyHoon's on the bench, Fire Rain's on the bench, and who does Swift dig out of Turkey? He's got Coco.
Hey, man's out of contract hell. So, like, ultimately, my takeaway from this is that it is a positive.
It is an upgrade.
Yeah, it is a major upgrade.
But who's that? Ray was just telling us this basketball player that goes from team to team to team, and every single time he says, no, I'm going to change. I'm going to change my ways. I'm going to be a team
Dwight
player.
Howard.
Yes, that is Swift. Swift goes from team to team to team. He's like, I'm going to change my ways. It's going to be fine. And then whatever team he ends up on, it just becomes the same exact thing before. And you know what the problem with that is, Raz? He doesn't win anything with it.
Well, look at this. Expectations are 0 right now for Vici. They need to start winning games. And if you remember where newbie were at the time, they were actually on the up and up. We were looking at them as a mid-card team going in towards the playoffs. So they were a team that could challenge the best. Vici ain't even close to that. They're not close. They need talent. Coco, talent. Swift, talent. And the 2v2 is always going to be dictating what's strong in the LPL. Moving away from the bottom lane, that's another challenge that they will have with Snow and Caveman. But right now, they need to start somewhere, and I love the fact that it's going to be in the mid-jungle. But it just means that there's a major shift in focus for this team because they have always been the Easy Hoon team. It's always been support Easy Hoon, play towards Easy Hoon, and that hasn't been successful for so long. And I know that a lot of people's initial worries, because this goes way back into like, if a team's not successful in enfranchisement, there's no push, there's no shove. There's no, we've got to change. But there is if you're going to be performing consistently poorly.
Because you just get thrown to the wolves.
Yes.
I mean, we've got so many. LDL has, what, 20-plus teams in it right now. The LPL has 14 teams. It's continuing to expand. Everyone is getting franchised in. There is a very real, fire underneath people's asses if they do not perform. You can actually just disappear and never be heard of again because there's so much talent that is willing to take your spot. There's just an abundance of good players.
Yeah, and Vici is a storied organization. They're a great organization. So while the organizations will not change, the players will change. And so that's already happening. It's a development within Vici that now we're going to be like and I will just project this, Coco is going to play very soon. Currently, it's going to be tonight. It seems like it's going to be Fire Rain starting because Fire Rain has been the more aggressive of the two between him and Easy Hoon. Once Coco's ready, we'll see that. And then it will be essentially a new look for this team that have been trying to push to be an early game team around matching Swift's pace. Coco will match that pace. And so that's going to be really fun if we get to see Coco tonight going up against OMG because that is a complete shift to that team midway through the split.
Okay, now I do have an update live from Xi'an. They are currently doing a manual pick and ban.
Oh.
They think that it will take about 10 minutes, and then as soon as that's done, what? Nope, I have a new update.
They're just coming in hot. Breaking news. We just need the banner.
Live. Literally, Champion Select has just finished. So, we made it, Raz. You made it to chat. Press F. Pay your respects. Champion Select is dead. We got it.
I love how fast the updates are. 10 minutes actually happened in the past.
I swear to God, my producer quickly scrambled. Like, oh, it's
in. It's so funny. Everything just happened so quickly.
Okay, yeah. So now we just got to stall for, I'm going to assume, this is how he said this to me. 5 minutes?
You're just getting overwhelmed in your ears right now. Too many time slots happening at the same time. Someone help me. But yeah, I think we can start talking about what we're going to be seeing.
Do you want to theorize what some of the champions were that were picked?
That's what I love.
Can we actually get that list?
Oh, if that's possible. I like to just do the blind
draft.
We're
waiting for it. We're going to get it from Xi'an.
Okay.
How much you want to bet that a Gnar, a Lulu, and Olaf or like an Ezreal got picked?
I'm betting Olaf 100%. Olaf's going to get picked. Swift's just going to go towards it. Or Sejuani. Olaf or Sejuani. I'm betting.
Honey, this is Condi versus Clid.
This is true. Are we getting a Lee Sin? Is that actually just going to happen? I'm going to add a Lee Sin in there just so I don't lose that dinner bet.
You want me to buy you dinner?
Maybe.
You and I have very different diets.
We do. I don't know what your diet is because you're just getting attacked on all cylinders here. Everything just hurts you. This is not good. A lot of Chinese food just doesn't sit well with you.
And it's so delicious too. That's the unfortunate thing. I'm just like, yes, I want this spicy hot pot, but then the next day I'm like, no, I did not.
My body rejects it, and I'm just the weirdest person because my body accepts everything except it doesn't show, as you can see. So I'm just at a weird place where my body's like, yeah, you can take anything you want, baby. You can have that chicken over there, you can have the ice cream on the side, have all that food. It just won't show. It's just in some weird universe. Have you seen Full Metal Alchemist?
Yeah.
There's gluttony.
Yep.
And you one day they get inside Gluttony's stomach and it's just an empty space. And it's just, you see like as far as the eye can see, and it's like, I don't even know how he's fat. He can just store everything in his stomach. That's me.
You're just like, what is the purse from Harry Potter that Hermione's able to pull everything out of?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
See, we had to go different levels of nerd there. I went for the literary one. You went for the
pure anime one.
Yeah, that's what we'll call it. So another update. Not only has Champion Select finished, but now the players are taking the stage. So we've got them on stage, Raz. Just lock them into the seat. Quickly strap them down.
They weren't even on stage when they were doing that? What kind of... I just want to have...
Because they had to do it manually.
I don't know what that looks like.
Oh,
are they just
I'm assuming with paper.
Okay, that's fun. That's good. I just got
you can't misclick the wrong champion this time.
That's true. See, we should do that more often. That's just fun to see. Just have the cameras in there and the huddles like, we pick Aatrox. You're like, all right, well, they just lost pick and ban. That's happening in the ULCS. I watch those games. Splice and Giants have to explain themselves.
I feel like there's a lot of issues happening. The NALCS is really stumbling with Heimerdinger, and the EULCS is really stumbling with Aatrox. Like, figure it out, guys. Settle.
I can understand that, because the major point whenever you're discussing is like, can we play Aatrox? It gets banned every game. We can't play it in scrims. But when it's open, do we have a pick against it? Top laner says, yes, I do. I've been practicing this Rumble. I think it's good in solo queue. You're like, perfect. Put it on the stage. Ah, no. I look like an idiot now. So it's a trust issue. Is
that from experience?
It's a trust issue. It really is. There's some experience in that involved. And if you're a team that can't, and this is this real struggle.
No, I've been
because
in those,
you know this.
Yeah, I've been in those comps. It was Syncux actually. So possibly the same team where we went into a match and there was I forget the matchup, but he was like, I play Syndra here, and I was like, no one's been playing Syndra for years. Like, what are you? He's like, and he locked it in. I literally blinked and he had already locked in the champion. I was like, I guess this is going live.
There's a lot of teams where, like, I would say the one pick that has come through ages is Ryze. Ryze have seen so many changes, but
I'm so done with that champion.
Yes, and every time he was broken, so there'd be instances where it's like, I can't play Ryze, or at least it's not flexible enough for us. Can we play against it? And a lot of it is like, yes, we can. You try. It's like, it's worked in one scrim. We're gonna have to put it, or we're gonna ban it every single game. And so those are real worries when we have like the balance team pushing out these champions, presenting them as if they're balanced, and when they're not, it's a real struggle when they don't get patched out for patches. And so like, just like, oh Lord, this is rough. So I feel you teams, and it's just 1 week, so hopefully Aatrox gets the stick. He just gets whacked, and then and then you'll be fine. You don't have to worry about him anymore.
Okay, I'm gonna save you, Raz. We're actually gonna toss it to another 10-minute break, and I promise you though, the champion select has been done. We are just getting the players onto the stage. They're setting up their keyboards and they're getting ready to play the game. So
let me talk about Aatrox.
We're gonna see you on the other side.
过去的荣光就留在记忆中 ，WE 要追逐新的胜利。
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for bearing with us through all of these technical delays, but it seems like we might finally be approaching game time itself, and that's why you can see two different faces on your screen. I'm Dom, we've got Clement here with us, and we are hopefully about to get into game. As we just heard from our analyst a moment ago, pick and ban was just completed for these teams, so we're going to be bringing that up for you on your screen in just a moment so that you can get a look at what we're expecting to see, because again, this is a packed stadium all here today to watch the WEJD match.
Are you seeing this? The fans did not leave despite a delay of an hour and a half. They're still here, and that Jingdong guy still has his hands up for 90 straight minutes. That's amazing.
Absolutely. Holding the signs up for 90 minutes. Do you really think that they held the signs for the entire duration?
I believe him, man.
Alrighty. Well, hey, again, we did already get a chance to see the coaches do a manual pick and ban backstage. This is the one that we see on screen to get us in the game. We've got a Talia locked in for JD and a Kled along with a Tom Kench. So we are just racing through these because, again, the teams and the players already know what these are going to be.
Yep, strong pick coming out from WE here. Kled was the champion that 957 took to MSI and showed the world that this pick could actually work. But this time around, it could also be Xie, the likes of Doinby playing it in the mid lane as well. So a lot of flex picks potential coming out straight away. On the other hand, we have Jingdong going for the more stock standard type of build. They've only found wins on the marksman so far, so they're going back to their bread and butter with the Xayah Rakan.
And the hope is that that will provide them some stability. Of course, we've seen other teams do similar things with their own team compositions. Yesterday, we saw Snake and LGD try to return to something a bit more standard for those teams. And it did end up rewarding Snake as they were able to take a victory yesterday. So perhaps we could be seeing the same thing out of WE. Go back to the family style where everyone is just big old happy friends. You don't have to worry about any sort of problems within the team. And you can just play that late team fight that we always expect.
I have to break into this, but this ban pick is so intelligent because WE are reading this Xayah Rakan as a funnel strategy. So they're banning away safe side laners in the Gangplank and the Mundo. While Jingdong Gaming, they're not shy about their hand either. They are going to be going for the funnel. So they're taking away strong level 2 mid lane champions and junglers in the Camille and the Lissandra. Those were the two champions that RNG ran to break Afrika's funneling composition as well. So they're definitely very aware of the possible strategical implications here. And WE, Xie, not going for the Lulu, not going for the Karma, but trying to show off and go for the Talon to break the gold funneling.
And that's exactly right. That Talon will be used to try and break that funnel apart. Looks like JD are the ones who are taking this funnel strategy, as you mentioned, with that Xayah Rakan presumably going into that mid lane. We can see the Smite already on Loken, Yagao taking that Talia into the bottom lane. So lots of power picks to try and break that down, but WE, it looks like they're ready to try and challenge that. They've got the Talon for massive damage, and they've got some pretty solid engage on that Sejuani and Kled. If WE ever get the inclination that they want to fight, it's not looking too bad for them.
Yeah, this is definitely great compositions from both sides. They've definitely done their homework in that 2-week break. Jingdong have only played funnel once in the mid lane, and it was with the Shyvana Mordekaiser. And for WE, I want to see Xie on something good. I don't want to see him drowned out by all the protection for Mystic. Seeing him on an assassin gives me hope for this new squad.
And of course, that Talon has so much mobility with the Assassin's Path. We'll see where Xie decides to inflict his Talon upon his opponents. If he decides to go down to the bottom lane to Mystic, or maybe up top to get 957 snowballed on the opposite side, because again, it's the Dumpling Brothers plus Mao and Klid trying to take this win here against WE. And again, if you just look at these two names just a few months ago, you would be saying this is absolutely WE favorite. There's no way JD stand a chance against WE. Well, right now, JD are 5-1 in matches. Their only loss is going to Invictus Gaming. WE, on the other hand, they're 1-5. Their only victory comes from OMG.
It's definitely a tale of two cities right here because they've gone on completely different trajectories. I think in 2018, WE was the biggest loss of the LPL, a former semi-finalist team. We've always touted them as the best team fighting team of the LPL, but the roster changes, going into a 10-man roster, and the instability of making everyone work together has really hit them hard. But after the break, after 8.13, reintroducing Marksman, I feel like they have a shot. This is going to be a great introduction back to one of our best teams.
And that being said, we've loaded onto the Rift. Let's hear from the fans to cheer on their teams.
That's
obviously the WE. Yes, it is. The WE Stadium is packed, and in just a moment, we'll get a chance to see who the fans are cheering for a little bit more in this matchup.
Well, seems like the fans are a bit tired.
I can see mouths moving, but I'm not hearing Jai-O. There it is. Oh, Condi, he's actually caught out by the exhaust. Grand entrance, but Condi flashes over the wall already. JD managed to find themselves an advantage on the Condi.
I have to say, this has to be expected. If you're running a Talon with Smite, you have to expect that people will contest your first Raptor camp because they don't want to give you that easy level 2. So Condi being caught off guard there and having to burn his flash that early, it's really weird. If you look at the way Jingdong set up their level 1, it was so much better. They had Alistar on the Raptor ramp, and they also did the 4-man invade on their own, on the top side of the map as well. It doesn't look like W has gotten the first steps of this composition correct.
We did see a Wolf start out of Xie, getting some assistance from Mystic and 694, previously Celestial, as Xie steps up, immediately using that Noxian Diplomacy and some Rake to try to get damage back onto Clid, but surprise, surprise, Xayah Rakan, pretty strong lane, especially when they can get the push. Already we can see that funnel working out. Quick level 2 from Loken to claim control of the mid lane and start trying to track down Condi and take some scuttles.
Yep, and we have to talk about the many ways you want to contest this gold funneling. The easiest way is actually just to have a very strong mid and jungle combination. The likes of Camille, the likes of Xin Zhao will actually make short work of someone that's bringing a jungle start item and also a support item. But unfortunately, W with that mishandling in the level 1 does not have that chance.
That being said, though, they do have Sejuani and Talon. Good knockback and the ability to get an extended stun, especially onto a vulnerable target like Xayah, if Rakan ever splits off. So we'll see if that Sejuani Talon can try to match the pace of this funnel that we're going to be seeing out of JD, because still, you've got to worry about the Taliyah on the bottom half of the map as well. She's just happily pushing away into Mystic's Ezreal, and certainly he's got some good trade and some good chip, but not until he gets that tier will he really be able to sustain in this lane.
And here we can talk about the second way you can attack the funnel. Papa Smithy said it so many times at Rift Rivals, but you want to get all 3 outer turrets pre-15. If you're running a gold funnel, you don't have a jungler, so you should automatically be winning those side lanes. The problem here is if you look at W's composition in the bot lane, they really don't have any CC, they don't have any jungle early pressure to really contest Jingdong's bottom lane. So Taliyah and Alistar is actually going to be incredibly safe.
Already we can see push coming out of JD's side lane, so perhaps WE not expecting the funnel in that regard either. But they will need to start trying to take control of these side lanes if they want to contest the freedom that Xayah and Rakan have right now. Just wave push, then clear a jungle camp. Wave push, then another jungle camp.
The scary thing about letting the side lanes go to the gold funneling comp is they can then invade into your jungle. So their primary carry with the Smite is going to go so far ahead, and they're actually going to starve your own jungle out in the process. So I think W must have anticipated the gold funneling just from the way they band picked, but I don't actually think they're executing particularly well.
Yeah, I mean, you just saw Xie with the recall while blue buff was picked up, and I can't count how many missing pings he just called out for that mid lane while that Xayah and Rakan were missing. So perhaps Xie just being overly cautious. That is buying some time for Condi to go for the invade and take away that Grom camp, and he's looking to take Wolves as well. So Condi is trying to match that gold income of the shared Xayah and Rakan compared to the Talon Sejuani combo. It's just going to be a lot more difficult. And once again, it's so easy for that Xayah to just push a wave, duck in, and take a camp. Get all of that gold. JD, though, they've still got those strong side lanes. Now they're just trying to use them, as looks like for the time being they're starting to push back a bit.
Yep, but we do see Zoom in the top lane, also smelling out where Condi could possibly be. There's still going to be a gank coming in, though.
Body Slam is ready, 2 hits of that, and the teleport is being channeled now by Yagao. Let's see if he completes. He actually does as they turn for the fight. Guess that's going to be Condi from the side. Clid coming out of nowhere. Leaves the funnel to find first blood for Yagao.
Absolute disaster. The Taliyah with the teleport able to help out here. Did expend the flash, but it was well worth it. This means that on the map, there's no one guarding W's own side of the jungle, and you can see right there, Xayah and Rakan, immediate reaction, just go and take everything away from Condi.
Suddenly, that's not looking too great, as Xie is actually going to eat a knock-up as well. Loken decides to clear the wave instead of going for some harass, but refillable potion for Xie in the mid lane gives him a bit of sustain, not quite as much as you would want when constantly taking damage from that Xayah and Rakan, but already things are looking good, and just take a look at that pathing from Clid. He's able to get behind Condi and just chase him down. Easy CC.
Yeah, I think Condi probably should have backed off as soon as they missed his first Q. If he landed that, the flash from 957 should have secured the kill. But, you know, it was a very high-risk type of play. You don't have control in the mid lane. The Rakan is definitely going to come there faster. And to be honest, I'm a little bit disappointed in W's play so far because it definitely shows they're quite rusty against the gold funnel. It hasn't been working out smooth. They didn't really make use of the level 1. I think their bot lane's not strong enough to really contest gold funneling bot lane. You want a very high pressure bot lane to kind of squeeze the opposition out. But you just saw right there, the Taliyah was able to lose lane and not really even give up on that much CS either.
Just like that, JD are starting to take an advantage. You saw some of the stats for Zoom on the other side, talking about these side lanes, like you were talking about Loken and Yagao there. Zoom has been doing quite a lot for his team. His kills and assists very high. His CS differential at 15 also very high for his team. You know, we refer to JD, that mid and top laner, as the Dumpling Brothers with Zoom and Yagao. Well, suddenly you put Loken on a funnel, and you have yourself Mao supporting that with a roaming Clid Rakan, who was previously a Lee Sin Jarvan player. Suddenly, it just seems to work for them. All of this funnel style fits the team style for JD so well. And the freedom is paying off for them so far in this game. They're actually down about 100 in gold so far. Taking a look at the CS, that's with Xie in the mid lane, is able to keep up over, quote-unquote, Yagao/Loken. Comparatively, and 957 is also getting a CS advantage over Zoom to make up for that.
Yep, Condi definitely had a little effect on the to the top lane. We did see Zoom lose out in terms of the CS score, and we can talk about why Talon is considered that counter towards the gold funneling. If he has Smite, he can actually secure most of his own jungle, and a lot of times even go in himself for those buffs.
Oh, and the Ignite 694 under the turret. He's going to hit stopwatch, and he's got flash, but the turret decides not to target him. Already, though, you could start to see a roam out of Loken and Clid. Let's see if they decide to follow through and look for the dive.
Yeah, that was a very good use of taking the aggro off of himself. If you go into status, the tower does not target you when you come out of it. So that was a smart move right there, but probably not the best idea to lose your flash in this lane. Usually when you're talking about a gold funneling side lane, because they don't have any jungle pressure, you should be winning and you should be pushing them in. You should be taking their side lane towers by 15 minutes. That's the goal that Papa has set for the LCK teams. What you don't want to see is you actually losing lane yourself with jungle pressure. So, you know, it's actually a bit worse than it seems.
I mean, he's still that Tom Kench. He's pretty difficult to kill, even without that flash, as he does get the gray health shield. And you can see he did just complete a recall for boots, so a little bit more mobility. Let's see if he's got a ruby crystal. He does. So 694 has a bit of time to try and recover in that lane. The big scare, though, is while he's sitting there recovering, the funnel is getting bigger and bigger. That Xayah sitting happily at 115 CS. You can see 30 ahead of comparably Mystic. In the bottom lane, Yagao isn't doing so great compared to Xie, who's had that solo farm, about 25 CS right now, but he's playing the support mage bottom on that Taliyah. So it is kind of acceptable for him to be a little bit lower in terms of that CS to try to equalize the gold.
Yep, and he definitely had that early kill into the top lane as well. Jingdong, as a team, their gold graph is so interesting because they always fall behind at 15 minutes, but go up in kills. So they're roaming their lanes, they're constantly looking for places to group up, and I think that's what has made them successful on this new patch. And really what WE has failed to do so far in terms of the early game. They really haven't kept up with the roam. We really haven't kept up with the scuttle and type of herald mentality you have to play with in this meta.
And it seems as though JD, they're simply playing to their style. They may not mechanically be the best in the league when you've got players like Uzi and iBoy and Jackie Love. So instead of playing around one single star player, they play around the team. They try to chase down these group kills, which is why we see such a high collective KDA for JD to try and match that. That said, it seems like WE have put a bit of a damper on things since Condi's blunder in that top lane. Once again, Xie just steps into the jungle to try stealing away the Raptor camp of that funnel composition. Zoom and 957 happily trading blows in that top lane, back to even in CS just about. So we're still looking to see if this game breaks open, and the person to do that is going to be either Xie or Condi on that high mobility talent, and like you said, the free jungler of that Sejuani.
Yep, we do see that Xie has kept up in levels compared to Loken. He's only one level behind, but in terms of the kill threat, I think Condi and Xie actually do have the advantage now. Unless one of those silents can free themselves, I think WE should start pressuring this gold funnel and try to threaten with the 2v2, force them into their own jungle, and then they can go for those side lane ganks.
Well, Rift Herald was just attempted by WE.
Yep, the tempo there wasn't that great. They had it pushing top lane. They could have synced that up, but instead the mid lane was already pushing in. Xie had to go back into lane, and that kind of fizzled out.
Quick ward out of the funnel. Xayah and Rakan spots it out and keeps it safe as Xie just happily clearing away this minion wave in the mid lane. He's got that TM at first as his standard. So he's got plenty of wave clear. The Noxian Diplomacy giving health back on Q as well. Quite handy for allowing him to tank waves, at least for a little bit. But that's True Shot down into the bottom wave as Condi looks to go top. It's pressure on two fronts. Condi's going for the dive. Late teleport. Stun lands. Glacial Storm not even used. Actually, it was. As Yagao follows up with a second teleport. Condi will die again. Weaver's wall, chasing over and back over the wall. Now 957, he's able to sidestep one, but gets flung, sidesteps again, and gets himself Scarl. But here's Clid, he gets the quickness, goes for the knockup, and 957, he's got nowhere to go anymore. Temporarily invuln, but Loken walks up to clean out the kill.
The question now is, can W actually equalize on the bottom side of the lane? If they get the tower, I don't think this is the worst scenario for them, but Lumao doing a good job so far, and interestingly enough, Xie actually not roaming down to try and just force this first brick.
Instead, taking the red buff and returning back to the mid lane and defend it. Mao gets the chance to heal himself back up, and already Yagao is racing down into the bottom lane with a finished Luden's Echo. But this wave is pushing in. WE decide not to stick towards it. Teleport used from 957, and all of the tempo that WE were trying to build up fizzles out due to another excellent deep teleport from Yagao.
Yeah, you can see the idea was definitely correct here. You have the kill threat, you have the extra jungler, so go for their side lanes, attack it, but no one really expects the Taliyah. Double globals used in this single replay to chase down 957 and Condi. Condi did have the flash, but he knew that he probably could not escape, and actually elected not to use it here. 957 does get the remount, but unfortunately, Clid also roamed from that gold funneling mid lane. Remember, there is no talent to back you up right here because of the wave push. And 957 just falls down again. Like, these are good plays that are being thrown by WE, but the counters from Jingdong are even better. I think W are probably underestimating how fast that this team can actually group up. This is the bread and butter of Jingdong. Yeah. This is what's made them successful when, like you said, they don't necessarily have the best players. I don't think Loken is a top 4 ADC like Raz would suggest. I think he got, like, ease of schedule. If you play against LGD and VG Gaming, you're probably going to end up on Best of the Rift. So
I suppose that's the test then. Can you really evaluate the strength of an AD carry when they are on a funneled mid laner with a Rakan dedicated to following them around? As again, 694 gets caught out of position and is forced to flash away from that Rakan.
Yeah, I think the way Jingdong play is that they just
they actually land a stun onto Yagao. Condi from inside of the brush sneakily finds a kill.
Yep, didn't get to see the start of that, but that should have been an easy deal for Condi. They did have a control ward on the bottom side of their own brush. So Condi probably set up shop there and was waiting there for quite a while.
And just landing that Glacial Storm onto Yugao, no flash. You can see some of the stats for Condi right now. His damage percent, one of the lowest in the league of all junglers. But take a look at that kill participation. Take a look at that wards placed per minute. Right now, he's not doing a lot of damage for his team. He's trying to play that tanky support for his team, not the carry that we saw when he went to semifinals last year.
Now, that's a good stat and also a bad stat. That means nothing really happens without Condi, and it typically also means your team is not getting a lot of kills. So high kill participation, while it does mean Condi is an essential part of the team, doesn't usually mean the team is doing well.
Yeah. And again, that first brick being taken by WE in the bottom lane as well. Gold's going over to Mystic. He's got his Triforce, he's got his Manamune, so we're still seeing the trappings of intelligent macro play. This is a team that has a legacy of playing very well in high-level situations. It's just something isn't quite translating in that mid-game that's costing them their wins, as yes, they take that first turret, but how do they move that into the second turret, into the third, into winning the game? What's their game plan after? JD, it's fairly straightforward. They've got the funnel Xayah. Now they've got Rift Herald, and that Xayah is at 2 full items, plus the finished Ludens and Iceborne Gauntlet for Zoom. They're ready for a fight. But Xie, he's found an assassination.
Oh,
Yugao
nice.
Again. Well, I guess that's a way to do it. Let Xie hard carry on Talon.
That just looked easy from Xie right there. Getting the Electrocute proc right onto Taliyah. And this Taliyah actually has left lane quite a lot. 40 CS down. A typical way that Yugao likes to play is he has very low CS per minute, but very high kill participations. And I think it's coming back to kind of bite him. Him without summoners, farming right there, losing control of the entire bot side. Ooh, he was underneath his tower as well, so...
Yeah.
You can't really put fault on him, but at the same time, it's a very scary message. I think Jingdong are going to have to be the ones to pick up the tempo and try to use this gold funnel Xayah to force fights at this point.
And this is where we see the difference between the talons of the LPL, how effectively they play through that side lane. A lot of that, though, necessitates vision between the two teams as Condi and Mao. Condi sees Mao over here and will now spot out the Sejuani. Glacial Storm is ready, along with Chilling Smite, and Xie is sitting on top of a ward. He was able to take the successful path onto Yugao last time, but this time Yugao has got his flash. No stopwatch out of Yugao, so he would have to just turn and run if that Talon decided to all in.
Yep, it looks like they're just happy to kind of waste Xie's time sitting in the bot lane. And go on until more gold funneling. The point they really want to fight is when Loken gets that extra item over Mystic. However, Mystic with the first brick gold and also the Kleptomancy has been doing quite well for himself. He's really not falling behind in terms of the carry items.
Got those 2 items completed, mid-tier 1 broken down by a rotation and an immediate Rift Herald summon. As this is a cannon wave pushing in, recall being started out from Xie. True Shot Barrage for the minion wave, but this is going to be a tier 2. Being charged down by Shelly.
It's gone.
And broken down. They don't even stay to take anything else because they don't want to risk the flank from 957, who disappeared from top. That being said, that's a big wave building up there. 957 heads back up to try to get some revenge as he's spotted out by a control ward.
Yeah, that was definitely a very poor play from W, not really anticipating where Jingdong was going to group up. Of course, they already knew where the Herald was. And losing 2 towers like that, that should put Talon very far behind, because it means that he doesn't really have the safety to push into the side lanes if Jingdong are reset on the map.
Doesn't appear that that's stopping him, as he was able to get into the side lanes before JD reset on the map. They're only just now making their way out of base. It's BF Sword and Zerker Greaves out of Loken in that bottom lane. Still no stopwatch on Yugao, so he's got to be afraid of this Talon. But luckily, Mao is there to try and keep him safe. He made a mistake in protecting that Taliyah once. He's not going to make that mistake again.
I will say that I feel like W has a very good answer to the late game of Jingdong. They're running a 1-3-1 composition, and there really are no split pushers to match on Jingdong's side of the game. I would also argue they probably have the better late game carry champions in the Ezreal and the Talon as well. I think Gragas doesn't do so hot when it comes to the super late game, and you're running double support at the same time. So, you know, even though I don't think the gold funnel was necessarily countered or played to the best, WE still have some good cards going down the line.
That they do. They just need time. Are you telling me that the Elder Dragon team, the 35-minute team fight team, could have a favorable 35-minute team fight if it gets to that point?
Well, it's not the traditional counter to a gold funneling, but it's somewhat of an idea.
Because I mean, that is the whole purpose of the gold funnel, right?
Yeah.
To accelerate your income, to get you an item breakpoint ahead of your opponent in the early game. And that's always what we talk about when we get into the late game, when the numbers become high enough that 5,000 gold difference doesn't mean so much when both teams are at 75,000 gold.
It doesn't matter if you're gold funneling if everyone has full items.
Exactly.
If you're doing a gold funneling, you're doing it for a tempo lead. You're doing it for an item advantage at a specific point in time. So it's usually 20 items, 3 items versus 2 items on your main carry right here. But first thing, I don't think it's going to happen on Jingdong's side. They've successfully used Mystic to gain enough gold on the map where he's not really even behind in terms of the carry items.
But then, I suppose that's the question for WE. Was this a conscientious decision? Were they aware that this was a gold funneling strategy with the Xayah Rakan and that they chose to stall out going to the 35 minutes?
I definitely think it was. If you just look at the ban picks, you know, the takeaway of Lissandra, Camille from Jingdong should have been a dead giveaway, that they were running a gold funneling comp and they didn't want opposition into the mid lane right here. Now, Jingdong's comp is, you know, I think they didn't really succeed in terms of getting the gold ahead, and they're kind of feeling the burn here. They're trying to get something going.
Oh, Shie's on the run. Ooh, flash matched, and the quickness wears off. Clid cannot get the grand entrance or the quickness. And Shie is able to escape with his life.
Yeah, interesting decision to follow up with the exhaust because Talia definitely was not coming. So trying to get the scare right there. Trying to bait Shie from probably turning heads and just trying to fight it out, I guess.
True Shot Barrage down the mid lane as Mystic is just constantly keeping this pushed in. Like we said, he's got plenty of gold right now, 313 CS across from Loken, where it's 264 Mystic as he's firing, but that side lane is starting to become pretty big for WE. 957 is at 1 item, working on 2, looking for that Titanic Hydra. The very item that shredded LCK in that game 4 with Doinby's own Kled.
Oh, definitely. The Kled is the most dangerous when he is at 2 items because his first 2 items give him health and attack damage, which are both very good in terms of the early and mid game. Late game, he kind of falls off because he needs to build more defenses. But at 2 items, 957 is going to be the scariest man on the map. And I think what W are going to do is they're going to look for that 1-3-1 and then the big collapse. This Jingdong composition, if they're beset on all sides, they actually have a very hard time defending their own carries. Their defenses are only really suited at dealing with enemies coming in at one direction at the same time. But with Talon and Kled at the, coming in from the flanks, it could be very difficult for them to deal with.
So then, Clement, I've got to ask, we saw the Gragas pick 4th out of JD that had Xayah Rakan, Talia, and then they picked Gragas. Well after seeing the Kled, well after knowing the strength, if the game goes late enough, does that Gragas eventually become able to match that Kled in a side lane? Is there any champion that can deal with 957 down there, or is this an oversight from JD's drafting?
Well, I think they just wanted to go with something that was relatively safe in lane. When you're playing a gold funnel comp, the biggest thing is you have to keep your side lanes alive.
Ooh, look at the deep teleport. WE really want this fight. Kandi's the first to step up, but he's separated from his team. He's knocked out, flashes into the wall. If they can kill him before he gets the stun, then this could be big. There goes the charge. 957 doesn't hit anyone. Meanwhile, Zoom is on the wrong side of this. He's holding his own in the river, funneling WE onto the wrong side.
Yeah, this is more than a gold funnel. It's a W funnel as well. They can instantly push into the top lane wave as well. There's nothing W can do. And they're trying to decide if they want to go for the mid lane tower or just back, because if they stay too long, there could still be a collapse from Jingdong.
Yeah, the wave is still pushing in. WE, though, they're trying to answer by pushing into that mid lane. It's bluff calling for bluff, but nobody's sure who's got the aces and nobody's sure who got the 2s. And it ends up being one turret trade for another when it's all said and done. The mid-tier 1 taken by WE, traded for the top tier 1 that JD took before the skirmish. Though JD do walk away with a kill. I hesitate to call either team a winner in this situation.
Yeah, I would say that W lost one of their stronger power spike moments, but at the same time, they actually came out ahead in terms of the trade.
Okay.
A kill for a tower is definitely better.
Okay.
I would definitely take W's side of the tray right there. And to be honest, this has been kind of a common theme throughout this entire game. I felt like Jingdong had the good answers, but W actually somehow came out ahead in a lot of the situations just by the farm in the bot lane, just by, you know, resetting on the kill onto Yagao. things like that going in their favor. So at this moment, we're actually seeing WE kind of be in a semi-comfortable position. But what I will say is this is exactly how we've seen WE fail over and over again. It really hasn't been the early game so far. It's been Condi. And Condi has had some really weird communication with the rest of the team. They don't look that they're on the same page at all.
JD, they're trying to bait out at the Baron right now. True Shot Barouge, that's the one. True Shot Barouge fired in the bottom lane as JD are going for the engage, and they find the knock-up onto Condi yet again. He's still got the Glacial Storm this time, lands it onto Zoom as the fight breaks out. GA looking for the dive, Loken flashes back to sidestep. He's still alive somehow, and look at the damage that Xayah is able to do when she's protected. Mystic dives into the back to finally get the kill at the cost of his own life, but that's one for what could be an ace, and Zoom is trying to get the blast cone, and 957 dodges through it to interrupt the knockup. 957 doesn't get Scarl. That's the ace for JD Gaming.
Yeah, and I have to say, Jingdong played that so beautifully. Loken using the Xayah and getting over the terrain really stops anything from following up. And remember what Jingdong are doing here. They know the late game goes into WE's favor, so they're looking for that opportunity when they have the item edge on their primary carry to do the initiation. I have to say, Condi was kind of slow on that fight. He should have been the one to use the Glacial Prison instantly and buy a better position for himself.
Yeah, we'll presumably get a chance to see that again. Now, 6 seconds on the clock for Loken. Do they save the Baron for that? Because Condi is back and he's got the smite. Control ward over the wall. And suddenly, this is looking a lot scarier. JD, don't even try to bait it. Look at that. Mystic teleported in behind them as well to try and funnel them in with Mystic shots. And Zoom just hops over the wall. So a little bit of hesitation for JD, trying to get greedy, that 1 extra inch for Loken to get him the Baron buff. And that costs them the Baron, as now WE are the ones to turn onto it. They're going to start taking some damage. JD have not had the chance to heal up, and WE are coming out of base all fresh.
There's a lot of low mana bars on Jingdong's side right here, and we see the Glacial Prison's already
drops
done.
The emote. He's feeling it right now. 957 flanks in. They've actually caught Clid in the front. Xie diving in from the back, but Yagao has already killed 957. Xie gets some good AoE, but a stopwatch, and Xie goes down. A double kill to Yagao as he's just running it down. Clid will scare the rest of WE back, but Mystic has still got some parting shots to say.
Great shot calling there from Jingdong, getting themselves out of a bad situation. They're always the one to take the first step, be the initiative right there. And they took down Kled before he could really even use his charge. Look at it. It's not even on cooldown. He was just completely caught off of wares. And this is not the same WE that we would see in 2017. In 2017, they would have been the one to have the game plan right here. But they were, again, caught off guards. And Lumo is just having such a fantastic game. Getting the exhaust down. No, sorry, not him with the exhaust, Clid with the exhaust, getting on the right timing, and then finally landing the stun on Xie as he came out of self.
There's just some sort of problem with the connective tissue for WE. The players are the same, only the support has changed between Ben and Zero. 694 previously Celestial playing throughout that spring split. Even then, WE weren't falling apart till the end of the split, but this is just something is different for this team and it's not working for them. Here's that first team fight at the Baron again. No, this is actually the second as 957 goes in from the side along with Xie, but they just can't do anything.
Oh, just look at that anticipation coming out from Clid right there. He already knew the Talon would be coming in, and he actually hit him with the battle entrance as he was doing it, and then Xie gets stunned by Alistar as well. So not a lot being done by that flank there. They really need two sides of it. They need the Kled and the Talon going in at the same time, or else he's too fragile to go in alone.
And despite all those kills, though, it's still only a 1,500 gold lead for JD. As, yes, we were hoping to see a bit more communication out of WE in this matchup, but their mechanical skill is still keeping them in pace with JD in terms of that gold. But JD now turning on to the Baron. Condi, the son of Baron, set to step up. Xie goes invisible, looking for an entrance as Clid is forced to hop over the wall from the side. 957 with the flank, but there's nobody there to protect him. WE are leaving their star top laner out to dry, and as a result, he dies. JD decided to give up on the Baron and just push that minion wave mid.
And look where Xie is, not in position to defend either. I think they're going to have to lose this mid inhibitor. Right there, I think it was more of a good barrel coming out from Zoom, really knocking Kled into a bad position right there. And you know, props where it's due. That was a bit of a hairy fight. You had Condi on the red side over the wall, but Jingdong still find the correct play. They actually all circumvent the Raptor ramp and just go straight through the team fight.
And as a result, like you said, that inhibitor goes down in the mid lane. Zoom landing that clutch barrel to separate 957 in the fight. Hopefully we'll get the chance to see that again, because WE, it looked like they had them in that corridor, in the choke, where you could get the True Shot Barrage, where you could get the Talon Rake across multiple targets, but it just didn't happen. Yeah,
it was such a good play from Zoom right there. Most teams would not actually walk up the ramp because you take so much damage, and it's so easy for teams to just funnel you in and just deal with your front line one by one, but with the explosive cast right there, they actually did the reverse. They actually put WE's teamfight in a very bad position. They had their front line amongst themselves to just take him down instantly. So an unorthodox approach to that Baron fight right there. I don't think a lot of teams would actually have made that play, but it ends up working out because of the the plays being done.
Yeah, and that being said, I feel like that's something we have to say for JD, just in general. An unorthodox approach. An unexpected surprise, but not an unpleasant one.
Jingdong are one of my favorite teams. They always do the unexpected, and, well, it's kind of hard to say the unexpected because what they do is always just fight.
Yeah.
But it's really
the way in which they do it, because it's never just a standard, we're going to walk you down front to back. It's clever flanks from Yagao, good barrel placement from Zoom, Mao getting a big knock-up, or Loken stepping up with massive damage on that very large Xayah. Level 18, 5 items on the way. That Zeal is the only thing left to be completed. Even the Void Staff finished off for Yagao, and again, they turn onto the Baron 31 minutes in. Look at the shred they've got with that Xayah alone.
But again, Jingdong have failed to secure the Baron vision. This is something that has really haunted them in the last split. In spring, they were the team to have the most Barons stolen away from them. And you can see on the map right now, WE still has full vision on when they're going to do Baron. So essentially, this is just giving free farm to 957.
He's splitting in the side wave, trying to match Yagao. Again, the double teleport users that Talia much more able to. As I believe that was actually teleport top from Yagao just used to group up with his team. We can see recall completed from Zoom. Will he do the same thing in teleport? Or are they just going to try to push this wave through a standard siege? WE are set to defend. 32 minutes, Clement. The Elder Dragon team is set to come online in 3.
Oh. We said W were going to have a great game today because they started 90 minutes late. They were already in the late game starting out.
Oh my god. That's amazing. That's so true. How on earth can they lose a late game team fight if all of their team fights are already late game?
Yeah, it's
90 brilliant.
Minutes. Yeah. It's home court advantage to the maximum right here.
Oh, Weaver's wall to try to separate WE. They're actually panicking and rushing into the pit. The quickness engage onto 694. But they don't have enough follow-up on the backside. Even teleport being used by Zoom to get into the pit, but 694, he's still got his summoners. Yeah. And we see full summoners from the rest of WE as well.
I think the timing on that play was a little off. You could see once the Talia wall was built, W definitely knew you were going to start Baron. But for Jingdong's side, they actually didn't start Baron until a while. Like
I think that was the point, though. I think they were trying to use the Weaver's Wall to bait WE forward, and the quickness hit 694 and not Condi, who's directly next to him.
Yeah, that's true, but at the same time, I feel like it's such a risky play to do.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Like,
don't disagree.
What I would want to see a little bit more out of them is to have Zoom kind of in the front lines, push into the red side a little bit more. It's so hard for a blue side team like this to actually take Baron unless you have control over the red. Like, it's way too risky to do it. You have Condi who has that potential to steal.
Uh-oh, they're looking for him again. That's the grand entrance. Zoom is ready with the barrel. Flash was already used, and suddenly that's Tom Kench. He's got nowhere to go.
Yeah, this is a much better play.
Yeah.
This is the play I was looking for. Just walk in S5. You still have the gold lead. You have the better carry at this point. Try to find a catch. Move that vision line further down the line for WE.
Condi just skating around the edge of that JD vision. He's actually behind enemy lines right now as Mao is right there. And they're going to successfully keep Condi busy while the Baron is being started off by JD on the far side. That's the charge from 957 to get in. Mao body blocking as best he can. They're over the wall, leaving Yagao There goes the Noxian Diplomacy as Loken steps up, and look at the narrow corridor. That's Xayah. She just needs a few autos to shred through WE's health, but they're kiting it back. The knock-up from Mao keeps him in place. Loken steps forward. He goes for Mystic, gets the outplay, and finds the kill over the wall. 957 gets his GA popped, while Xie runs for the hills. A flick of the wrist will miss as 957 walks away, but a double kill for Loken, leading to 2 total, 3 in sum if you include that Tom Kent at the beginning.
Yep, so Jingdong again go with the unorthodox play right there. It actually took Loken a lot of seconds to move into a position where he could start dealing damage, but they still went with the fight, overtaking the Baron and just letting Luimal up there to kind of play denial game right there.
Xie's stepping up. He's got the diplomacy. He's got the crit, leaps in, doesn't get it. Smite successful, and Xie's over the wall, burning down. I believe that's a chase from Yagao, but it's pretty tough to catch a Talon in his own jungle.
Yeah.
And Baron finally picked up. Still, though, like you said, JD, it is so tough for them to secure Barons.
That was so close because Xie was level 18 Talon with a Smite. That's 1,000 true damage, but unfortunately for him, unable to get the steal. That could have changed things quite a bit.
Very close, but now that's 6 item Xayah completed. Yagao, he's sitting at his own 3.5. He's finally got a stopwatch. He's ready to fight another 3 items. Thornmail picked up for Zoom as he's starting to set up in some side waves. Teleport not ready, so we should be expecting JD to group up pretty shortly. Looks like they're trying to play mid and top and finish off the inhib that was already taken. Yeah,
the Baron here is really going to give Jingdong the fight they want. W, realistically, they're only going to be coming in one direction, and that's from their own base. So that's very easy to manage when you have an Alistar and you have an explosive cast to really seal off the ramps. So for Jingdong right now, I think they should probably be able to take 2 inhibitors at least.
Yeah, I mean, even pushing up this way, WE decide to let it go almost completely. The middle inhibitor is broken, the bottom tier 2 is broken. Somebody on the WE side is calling wait, and it is costing them because they are just hemorrhaging objectives right now. This next inhibitor is going to crumble still. WE decide not to respond. Big waves coming in as JD step forward, escorting them all the way up to the Nexus turret. But a big wave is pushing top, and already you can see Yagao is on his way to try and catch that if they want to finish that 3rd inhib.
Yep, WE still need to look for a flank though. I don't think the Talon going in headstrong is going to do anything at this point, so they should be trying to set up wards behind Jingdong's line. They really need some vision inside of their own red side, or else they're going to have to take the Abyssal Voyage and then try to find a pick, which sounds nigh impossible.
It's a great way to get that Kled into the back line.
They have no vision. They're going to have to use
or the Kled from the front line instead, maybe. Well, Weaver's Wall is going to separate the rest of the WE. Just clean clinical play from JD. I feel like I'm in the doctor's office. They're about to take my blood pressure. They've got my heart rate. JD, they're just running the standard range of tests against WE, and right now WE are looking awfully sick.
Yeah, and what a surprise. WE actually losing out on all of the team fights to get themselves into this point. I have to say, a lot of those early plays, Condi was just not in sync with the rest of this team, getting caught out twice in a row where WE could have seized the momentum, used that power spike coming out from the Kled and the Talon to really snowball home the game, but unfortunately they're putting themselves in a position where they're a full AD team composition. It's going late game, and they don't have any wave control to really set up the flanks they want.
Look at that. Rabadon's now finished for Yagao. Gargoyle's Stoneplate on top of the Iceborne Gauntlet and Thornmail. For Zoom, he has nothing to worry about except for perhaps Mystic, who's also sitting at 6 items. He's been CSing just fine at 463. A quick battle dance gives the shield over to JD, but double supers, and still they've got Baron buff, Clement.
Oh, damn. We've seen this happen for W before, though. They have found victories, 3 inhibitors down. It happened against EDG last time. Can they find the miracle picks?
The cask is ready for Zoom. He just needs to separate one target.
Talon.
Glacial Storm onto Mao. Xie, as you said, in the back lines. Yagao starting to get some big hits. There's the quickness. Knock up on the 694. He's caught. Saves Mystic, though, as Yagao starts to step forward. Klid firing shots away along with Yagao, who's protected in the middle. But Xie looking for some more revenge. Still not going to find him as the fight breaks out. It's clean and it's easy for JD. They stay grouped up as the death ball, and they walk through WE's base, taking themselves 3 kills, turning onto the Nexus, and taking game 1 over Team WE in Xi'an.
Great support play there from Klid and Luma at the same time. Luma holding down the front while Klid chased Talon into the back line. Xie was never able to find that crucial pick onto Loken, and I don't think Loken even really died anywhere. That was just a clean game coming out from him. Again, gonna pad up his KDA, which he already is the KDA king, by the way.
Yeah. Well, so far, JD have only had a single 2-0 series, and that was against Vici Gaming. And if you take it at standings value, WE are also at 2-0 right now. Every single other one of the series that JD have played have gone to 3 games. So if there's a chance for WE to differentiate themselves in this best of 3, it's got to be in Game 2. They have to be able to bring us to a Game 3 if they want to show us growth.
And you know how I think they're going to do it?
How are they going to do it?
I think they're going to have Pepper play Game 2.
You think?
Kandi didn't do very well this game. His first 2 ganks failed, and he was caught out 3 times in a row in terms of team fights, and that lost a lot of momentum from WE. We're seeing the same things when he played Camille as well, just not on the same page if he's the primary initiator. And then you think about the supports, like Celestial 694 really hasn't been playing with the team so long, so we're not seeing much out of that end either.
Yeah.
Like, there needs to be someone to take the first step on WE.
It seems like right now WE are the same thing as this music. 2 different tracks playing at the same time, neither one of them really lining up together for the team. Bit of a tragedy to see that team fall apart like that as the tracks come to an end. But still, we do have to celebrate JD. They played it smart, they played it safe, they took the funnel. It wasn't the accelerated pace that we hear from Papa, the 15-minute 3 turrets, but they took down the mid tier 1 and the tier 2 to try to answer. It was just clean and easy from JD.
Yeah, definitely. I think they just came out with the aggression, like always being on that first step and always making the first moves. A lot of times when I didn't think it was even possible. And that's just Jingdong in a nutshell, and this is why you should watch more JD Gaming.
Absolutely a fun team to watch. That said, though, it's now time for our analysts to break down that Game 1 victory by JD.
Thanks, guys. And we did it, Raz. We got into the game.
We did it.
I'm actually going to move my mic slightly closer to my face right there.
Wonderful.
Exactly. And I want to talk about the draft phase first. Because going into this, we had a lot of time to talk about draft, a lot of time to put the magnifying glass onto Team WE and kind of some of the fractures that we've seen over the course of their split. I look at this draft. I've got Kled. I've got Talon with Smite.
Excellent.
Tell me, is this the evolution of Team WE? Is this the new page?
It's definitely a new look to an old page. It's like when they just an old book was presented to you. It's like, wait a minute, let me take it to a shop, because that's what we do with old books. We take it to a shop, they'll brush it off, they'll shine it for you.
I don't know what shops you go to.
It's a fancy bookshop that also cleans books. But anyways, this is the worst analogy ever.
Yep.
Essentially, it's an old style. We've seen this from Spring Split 2017 from the top side 957 picking up Kled. So that's an old favorite for him.
It was a trick question is what I set Raz up for. He's absolutely right. None of these champions are new. This is not Team WE playing the meta. It's as you're saying. We've seen the Kled before. It was permabanned away from him. That's another Ezreal. In fact, the only thing that seems different here is that Talon.
Yes. So the Talon is the new mix to all of this. So that's just them saying, hey, Xie is incredibly flexible. He is a strong player. Put him on the Smite Talon so he can muck up with the enemy jungle. So just because they knew that they were going into a funnel composition, they gave away the Xayah and Rakan.
Yep.
And so even if they get swapped around, this is the best thing about Talon, by the way, in the new meta, is that even if it turns out that it's not a meta where, or at least you're not going up against jungle funneling, then you can actually just be a Smite Talon and you get your own Raptors for free. So this is just a win-win for the Talon. I like that Xie was willing to be the man to go to the next level and say, I'm actually going to have it. I'm going to play something new. The rest of you guys can play your own favorites. There's comfort, but there's still viability with the Talon.
So then my other option is then we look over to JD Gaming, who are running a very traditional funnel composition, and they're running it with the Xayah Rakan. So often in the LPL, we don't see these funnel compositions run with Xayah Rakan. You know, usually it's Snake that are playing something else. We've seen it a couple of times. I think RNG comes out to me, but JD... I mean, they tried it with the Mordekaiser, the Shyvana. They've tried funneling many different times. It hasn't quite worked out, and suddenly it just looked beautiful this game.
And this is a product of proper coaching from the side of home. Because...
who?
Coach Home.
Formerly of...
A team, a WE.
Ooh, okay.
It hurts. And the reason why I say that is because with any other team, when they see Xayah Rakan in the LPL, they're putting it to the bottom lane. They don't want to have the extra step in which gold funneling is, because that's just difficult. That's things you have to actually run through scrims. You have to be proper in it.
Do you think it's inherent something about the LPL why we don't funnel like the LCK or even like EU and NA?
It's discomfort. I would say that it comes to a lot of these strong laners, strong bottom lanes, and they would rather run a strong Xayah Rakan in the bottom side of the map than have it roll around the jungle.
But yeah, but from my mentality, if we have someone like Uzi, someone like Iber, like I understand what you're saying, that they want to play their comfort, which is in that traditional 2v2. But also on the other side, you could say, okay, we've got the JackeyLoves, we have the Uzis, we have the iBoys. Shouldn't they be absolutely loving the fact that they could just sit in the mid lane and get everything? Like Uzi's been farming MLXG and Karsa's jungle for years now.
Yes.
Now he gets to do it for, you know what I mean?
Yes,
So,
but there's also that level of lane domination that they have. That Uzi is a lane dominator. That he goes into a lane and he's, through the regular season, picks Varus so often because he doesn't care too much about the fact that he gets CS. He cares that he has the CS differential.
But you don't get CS.
Yeah, you ain't getting that. That I am that much larger than you in the gold chart. Where in gold funneling, that won't happen. The bottom lane is actually fairly spared in that. It's the mid laner that's getting hit. It's the enemy jungler that's getting hit. So that's the mix that's interesting to me.
So you're saying we just have a bunch of bullies in our ADCs?
You're all bullies and you should feel bad. That's the end goal. And I think that Home is a very strong coach, that he's grilled them on it. They get to a point where they're very comfortable on gold funneling, that you see compositions like these. And even though there were certain instances of this game where it was skirmishy, that Shea did have an opening on the side lane, but Condi felt the burn from the very beginning of the game. Level 1, he got pushed out. Level 3 or 4, when he was in the top side, got pushed out. And that's the benefit of gold funneling when you do it right, is that your mid jungle is so strong that you will always be able to track the Sejuani, and that's what happened.
That was my next question. It was kind of the question of, was this a fault of Condi and the coaching staff, or was this just bound to happen because of the nature of these compositions? Because I feel like a lot of the audience, they'll watch games and they'll see a team that absolutely stomps another team in the early game, but from an analytical perspective, you're like, yes, that was exactly supposed to happen because that's how those compositions work, but now the baton will pass. Was it more like this? And then why, if it was, why didn't that baton get passed to Team WE when they would be strong, if they sacrificed the early game?
I think Condi made a few errors this game because the composition was proper. Sejuani and Talon are actually great in skirmishing, but they need to get to the point level 4, level 5, where Talon's at a really good spot in doing so.
So you think he fumbled before the level 4 mark?
So level 1, 100% hurt him. Level 4, when he went to his top side, hurt him. The benefit of jungling when you're going up against gold funneling is that for the most part, your jungle is safe. They're farming up their own camps while taking mid lane. The compositions that have gold funneling have very poor jungle percentage where they're invading the enemy jungler. That doesn't happen as often. So he went far too outside, oftentimes being inside the river when he has no business doing so. He felt confident because he was adjacent to the Talon and the Kled, but the Kled ain't going to help you. Same with Talon. It's a numbers disadvantage. It was the mid laner, Yagao, who was constantly helping out as well. So I think Condi had to respect the pressure, and he did in this game.
Okay, so now that Team WE, we've kind of set the stage. They fumbled the fact that they didn't get Condi the correct pressure, maybe through individual decision-making, also not setting them up for success in terms of the draft.
Yep.
At what point does the gold funnel composition turn online? Like, where are the windows? Because again, in the LPL, we've seen vastly different takes on this meta. You look to Snake, and usually it's almost like from minute 1, because they seem to prioritize putting everything into their jungler and then use that to actually skirmish in the enemy jungle, as opposed to just eating their own jungle.
It's a trick question because the gold funneling, it's always online because they always have mid lane pressure, unless if you have a counter.
Because of the EXP advantage?
The EXP advantage, the push advantage. Push advantage usually gets crushed by the counter strategies of like Camille, Lulu, like these strong 2v2 skirmishing bullies that didn't happen this game. But early game, 100% should be in favor of gold funneling just on the push aspect. But when they are ready to fight, when they want to fight, there's about 2.5 items for the AD carry that's getting gold funneled on. Because around 23 minutes is when you have a Xayah in this case that has her 2 items, including the finished Zeal item. So you get skirmishes like these that work so well for JD, where they can come in front to back and they won't worry about a Talon and Kled flanking them.
As you can see right now in the replay, no flanks to be had. Now that said, this doesn't immediately turn into a Baron. Team WE are actually able to kind of salvage or dig deep and prevent the game from ending after this moment by contesting their own Baron, but it seems like such a massive macro error. I remember that as we were watching the game, when Team WE started doing the Baron, your immediate response was, hold up, that's an awful idea.
Yep. There were just 3 of them doing it. There was real a weird decision-making process from WE this game. Because when they had pressure...
Are we going to use the soft word in weird, or are we just going to call it poor?
Okay, weird is always poor in my heart.
Okay.
So we're always aligned on that. Because WE, 100% of the comms when they are behind, but they're trying to find a desperate situation, nowhere near Rogue Warriors. Because Rogue Warriors as a team, when they're behind, as a team, all on Baron, or looking for flanks, like there's always a level of creativity that Team WE did have once upon a time, like 2017. But this time around, they still attacked this game in the same way. There was no level of creativity to put Kled in the flanks. It was always front to back. And the vision control was heavily in favor of JD, but they didn't even want to challenge the vision control, at the very least in the top side of the map where they could loop around. There are a lot of real challenges that I had to WE when they're behind, and now I don't have trust in them playing from behind no longer, when that was their go-to strategy.
But someone that we can have trust in is, of course, going to be Logan. We're going to show you the final replay of the team fight that did lead into the Baron play, and Logan just popped off. And how often did we ever get to say this about Logan? I feel like he's kind of always been the unsung, not unsung hero, but just kind of the secondary character. He was never the protagonist of JD Gaming, and suddenly now he's on the Zai, he's got the funnel comp, and he just goes massive in this team fight.
Yeah, first 4 weeks of the LPL, and also just including in the spring split as well, Logan has been on his game. Take a look at this. Boom! Just like that nets the kill on towards Ezreal. This team fight was excellent for him. This week has been great for him. Or at least I would say before Rift Rivals. Overall, Logan has been the MVP of this team. And if he can consistently do this going into playoffs, then he has to be talked about in the discussion of top 3, top 4 AD carries that we were having to talk about before the series even began.
I'm not willing to go there just yet,
willing
Raz,
to.
but
I'm already in that discussion.
I definitely will admit that Logan is on the rise. From ESC Ever, kind of been one name on that team that no one was talking about. The team breaks apart, he comes over into the LPL, falls flat on his face multiple times, costing Doinby any shot at playoffs, and now to find his footing, fight for his spot, take it over from RD, and now rise to this type of level. I will give you that happy ending.
He is a different AD carry than any of these prodigies that we put out there. Uzi performed on day 1. Jackie Love expected to perform a prodigy on day 1. SMLZ has been a name since day 1. And it's Logan that has had to work the hardest, I feel like, especially this year.
Okay, cool. That said, I do want to remind everyone... yeah,
I heard that!
Okay, cool. That said, I do want to remind everyone that if you want to check out the OMG versus Vici match, we are going to stay on WE versus JD. We want to give you the complete series going on. OMG Vici is happening over on our Chinese streams by our Mandarin casters. You can check that at lpl.qq.com or over on panda or douyu.com. TV. Wow, that's really hard to remember those links. That said, we are going to kick it over into a little bit of an extended break simply because the audio issues are still persisting, which means we'll have to go through another manual pick ban. But we will be coming back with game number 2. See you on the other side.
相信这支年轻气盛的京东，相信过程。